there, everybody. It's Ellen Weatherford.
And Christian Weatherford.
And this is Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast, where we rate your favorite animals out of 10 in the categories of effectiveness, ingenuity, and aesthetics.
We are not zoological experts, though we try our best to bring the most accurate and interesting information that we can find.
Babe, I did so much this week.
Oh, boy.
I did a lot. I have a lot of notes for you this week.
Okay.
And this week, it's just not hitting me. You have no idea what I'm about to talk about this week, which is a fun dynamic that we're bringing to episodes going forward.
For sure the first time that's ever happened.
Well, as we mentioned in our last episode together, we're just going to do the single segment, more long form, deep dive episodes from now on, which is fun because when I do them, that means that you have literally no idea what I'm about to talk about because you don't look at my screen when I do my notes.
True. This is true.
But I did a lot of notes.
So what is said animal?
This week, I'll be talking about the red fox.
Okay.
Vulpes vulpes.
Ah.
This was one of those animals that I wanted to save for like a time when I knew I was going to have the space to really get into them because I knew there was going to be a lot about them and I was right.
Okay.
So now that I'm doing the full episodes, I was like, it's time. It's fox time.
All right.
We've only ever talked about one other type of fox on the show, and that is the fennec fox.
Ah.
So this is the more common one that most people are probably familiar with. And this species was submitted by Katiana Weiser, Micah, Rome Rabelais, Ray Bonk, and Christy Bookgirl. That is just the display name that Christy uses.
Okay, I see.
Yes. So it has been requested many, many times. Many people have asked us to talk about red foxes. And a lot of people have just said any type of fox. People just want to hear us talk about foxes. And the red fox is the one that I was like, oh yeah, we can really get into this.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a lot of my information from Animal Diversity Web, but actually a lot of the stuff that I've got is from specific papers and things that were very unexpected to me.
Okay.
So I'm excited to get into them. Most people are probably familiar with red foxes, especially if you live in the northern hemisphere, which is where they are found. Their range is just kind of generally the northern hemisphere.
Okay.
They are found in all of Europe, almost all of Asia, and most of North America, with the exception of Mexico and some of the western United States. You won't find red foxes there, really. There may be other species of fox that live there, but not necessarily the red fox.
Now, did it get to all those places naturally?
I'll talk about that in a little while. Well, they are also found in Australia, which they did not come by honest.
I mean, so few things are, right?
Not as many as should, right? So this is the widest distribution of any terrestrial carnivore in the world. Most other carnivores are kind of more localized or specialized in a specific place.
Yeah.
Red foxes, you can find them just about any type of environment. You can find them in the Arctic. You can find them in a desert. You can find them in cities, forests, mountains, doesn't matter. Red foxes probably are there.
Well, that makes me sad. I don't think I've ever seen a red fox in the wild.
I have seen one red fox in the wild, and it was when I was walking my dog. I was a teenager, and I was walking my dog, and a red fox ran in front of us, and that was very exciting to me, and very cool that neither the fox nor my dog attacked each other.
Yes.
But actually, it is way, way, way more common for foxes to live in urban areas and be around people in the UK.
Oh.
I think it's a population density thing. There's just not as much wilderness, I think, in the UK, whereas in the United States, there's a lot of wilderness available, right? So when humans start to develop an area, foxes can just leave.
Sure.
Whereas the UK is an island, right? So there's not that many places for them to go to.
Huh.
So I think that's just a density thing, but there are I have this in my notes later actually, but in London alone, there's an estimated 10 to 15,000 red foxes.
Wow.
But you don't get urban foxes like that in America. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that America has more predators and competition for red foxes.
That's true. We got coyotes.
Coyotes are a big competitor for foxes. So I think coyotes and bobcats and some of our larger birds of prey are just too much for red foxes to compete with in an urban environment. So there's better options for them. So they don't tend to live in urban environments as much in the United States.
Huh.
Foxes belong to the family Canidae, which means they are related to things like wolves and dogs and coyotes, which are in the Canis genus. But the Vulpes genus is more closely related to the raccoon dogs.
Oh, boy.
Like the Tanuki that you talked about in episode 118.
Ooh. A while ago.
I know that was a long time ago. Now, there are 12 extant species of what's considered a true fox.
Again.
I know. Members of the Vulpes genus. There are 12 extant species, of which the red fox is the largest. So it's the biggest fox. And then there are about 45 subspecies of red fox.
Wow.
These are like little finely tuned subspecies of the same species that like are specifically adapted to different areas. And they're all over the world.
I feel like the number of subspecies is related to the amount of research that you were able to find.
That's true. Well, I mean, like just because of how widespread they are, they're so like well studied and well documented that like there's a lot of information about them.
Mm-hmm.
If this is anyone's first time listening to this podcast, the first category that we rate animals on is effectiveness, which is physical adaptations, things built into the animal's body that let them do a good job of the things it's trying to do. So in this case, this is a predator. This is a carnivore, right? A little omnivorous, but, mostly carnivore. And so these are the ways that it is catching its prey and not becoming prey itself. So I'm giving red foxes an 8 out of 10 for effectiveness.
Nice.
I feel like they're kind of halfway between a cat and a dog. They have like a little bit of like the agility and the dexterity of a cat, but with more of the sort of bulk and power of a dog. Mm-hmm. Not as much in either category as either of them,
right?
But they're kind of like halfway between like cat and dog. They have extremely acute hearing. A lot of the things I gave them points for is their senses.
Yeah.
They have some of the most sensitive hearing of any known mammal.
Wow.
And that was as measured in a study called A Behavioral Audiogram of the Red Fox, Vulpes vulpes. That was by E. Pascal Malkemper in Hearing Research in February of 2015. And the Pennsylvania Game Commission website reports that a fox can hear a mouse squeak from 150 feet away.
Wow.
So they know you're there. You're not sneaking past this dude. The fox is going to clock you immediately.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
In addition to just pure sensitive hearing, their ears can rotate independently of each other.
Fun.
Like little satellite dishes.
Yeah, yeah.
Which you can probably watch. You can see like a cat do this, right? Sometimes if you call our cat's name, he'll do this really fun and cool thing where his one ear will rotate towards you and he will not open his eyes or move his head at all. It's like you can see that he heard you and he understands you're talking to him and he's actively choosing not to respond.
Yeah.
It's fun to be left on red by a cat. So foxes' ears can do this too. It makes them really, really good at telling where a sound is coming from. They're also very fast. They're able to run up to 30 miles per hour and have a vertical leap of up to 6 feet.
Whoa.
So one could probably hop right up on your shoulder pretty
Boing.
comfortably. Yeah. Anyone who owns chickens is particularly familiar with the agility and jump height of a fox. They're famously fond of picking on people's chickens. So a fox will, there's kind of like a ongoing battle, I guess, between chicken owners and foxes and always trying to keep foxes out because they're good at jumping, they're good at climbing, they're good at digging. Like they're very, very, very good at figuring out how to get into your chicken coop, specifically you. A friend of mine keeps chickens and has had a sort of simmering rivalry, ongoing beef with local foxes.
She tried tributing a chicken every so often.
You think maybe you just kind of like let him have one for free?
And they won't damage your coop. That's probably not how it turns out. But,
a sort of universal basic income, but
I was thinking more down like shakedown money.
Oh, like mob protection money.
Yeah.
You give him one. And
it sure would be a shame if someone ate chickens.
Those are some nice looking chickens you got here. It would be a shame if someone scaled your 6-foot fence. A lot of the points that I gave them here were just for sheer adaptability. Because like I mentioned earlier, red foxes can adapt and thrive to like basically any type of biome, any type of situation. Like there are foxes that live in deserts, like deserts of northern Africa and the Middle East, and there are foxes that live in the Arctic tundras, and there are foxes that live like in the mountains of North America, and foxes that live in like plains and in cities. Like they can live basically anywhere. They will figure it out. And their bodies will like adapt to the environment too. That's why there's so many subspecies, because in every environment you've got them changing like the color and density of their fur, or like the length of their limbs. Maybe if they live in a hotter climate, maybe they might have longer limbs to like lose more heat, or bigger ears. Like you can see these ways that they're like so adaptable and so like they will so easily sort of slot into wherever they end up that I really think that gives them a lot of points for effectiveness. Here in Washington, we even have an endemic subspecies. It's called the Cascade red fox. They're found in the Cascade Mountains. And even the individual fox itself can be very adaptable. Like you may have seen one where in the wintertime, their fur is very long and fluffy, whereas in the summer, it's much like shorter and sparser. So the same fox can also like adapt to a lot of different situations and can thrive in a lot of different like contexts, I guess. Earlier, I mentioned urban foxes in the UK.
Yeah.
There was this 2020 study comparing the shapes of skulls of foxes who live closer to people, more urban foxes. Anyone who listened to our kids questions episode with Isaac like a month or two ago, this will be very familiar. I talked about this in that episode as well. So there was a study comparing the skull shapes of urban foxes against rural foxes to see like, are there any differences between these urban populations and rural populations of foxes? And they found some really interesting patterns. They found that the foxes that live in urban areas tend to have shorter, wider snouts than foxes that live in rural areas. And also there was a lot less dimorphism between the sexes. So in urban foxes, males and females look pretty much the same. Whereas in rural foxes, there's more of a difference between males and females.
Okay.
And this study was called Skull Morphology Diverges Between Urban and Rural Populations of Red Foxes, Mirroring Patterns of Domestication and Macroevolution. It was by K.J. Parsons et al. In the Proceedings of the Royal Society Biological Sciences in June of 2020. So the last part of that title is of particular note here, where they say mirroring patterns of domestication. Because one of the things they talk about in this paper is how these physiological trends that you see in these wild foxes are kind of echoing the patterns already seen in the famous fox domestication experiment.
Oh boy.
Have you ever heard of this?
I don't think so.
You've never heard of the fox domestication experiment?
No.
I'm so excited that I got to tell you about it and so glad I prepared some notes on it then. Can you imagine if you just been like, yep, I already know everything about it. And I would have been like, okay, better not talk about it.
You would not.
No. You know me too well. In 1959, at the Institute of Cytology and Genetics in Novosibirsk, Siberia. So it's 1959. We're in Siberia. It's cold. It's snowy. Geneticist Dmitry Belyayev had a hypothesis that the physical traits associated with domestication, so things like floppy ears, curly tails, multicolored coats, right? These are things that you see in dogs and also things that you see in domesticated pigs, right? They start to develop floppy ears and curly tails, things you don't necessarily see in their wild counterparts, but you see them develop in pigs and in dogs. So his hypothesis is that those traits are genetically linked with behavioral tameness, like the sort of behavior that is selected for of like an animal that responds well to people and is easy to work with and easy to be around, that there must be a genetic link between those physical traits and these behavioral traits. So he and a researcher named Lyudmila Trut, they launched an experiment where they bought 130 silver foxes. Now, a silver fox is not just a nice looking older person.
Oh.
It is a melanistic, so a fox that produces more melanin than usual and has a darker coat. So if you've ever seen one of these foxes that looks kind of like black with like frosted tips, like a 90s boy band sort of look, that is just a red fox, Vulpes vulpes. It's just a particular like color morph of this fox. So they bought 130 of them. Oh, they bought them from a fur farm. So foxes are often farmed for their fur.
Sure.
So they bought 130 of them and then selectively bred them, choosing only, literally the only trait they were looking for was a tame disposition. So the researchers would go and approach the foxes and try to like pet them and handle them and feed them from their hand. And only the foxes with the most positive and friendly responses to the humans were chosen to go on to the next generation. So the foxes that were nicest, they started off not super nice, but the ones with like the best responses were bred for the next generation.
Okay.
And they did that over and over again. After only about 10 generations, so this is only like a couple of decades or so of like running this experiment. After only about 10 generations, the foxes had started showing, among these other like sort of more under the hood physiological changes, but the most noticeable ones, floppy ears, curly tails, and multicolored coats, just like they guessed would happen.
Interesting.
Oh, they even wagged their tails.
What?
They started to look very puppy-like. Like if you look at pictures of them, they look like puppies. Oh. They look like they have like the white stripe down the front of their face that puppies get. They're not at all bred with dogs. They are pure fox. But they start to develop these very dog-like traits just because they're being selected for being nice to people.
Okay.
Hey there, this is me editing the episode. I forgot to say it while we were recording, but I think it is important to say here, foxes, even the ones that were bred for tameness, do not make good pets. They are not truly domesticated. They're just a little less hostile towards humans, but there are a lot of reasons that they still shouldn't be kept as a pet. They smell awful. They dig and chew pretty much incessantly, so they will damage your property. They're extremely difficult to train, extremely energetic and loud, and illegal to own in very many places. Something that I even saw quite a few times when I worked at a pet store was people impulsively getting foxes and then having to try to rehome them within like a year or two because they realized that on top of being an absolute nightmare to keep in their home, they also had to be taken to an exotic vet, which is very expensive and often very difficult to find. So all around, do not recommend. Just wanted to make that very clear in case you were listening to this like, ooh, tame foxes sounds like something I want to keep as a pet. No, you don't. I promise. Okay, back to the episode. Some of the changes seen in the skulls of the urban foxes from the 2020 experiment are very similar to the changes seen in the fox domestication experiment. So they get the shorter and wider snouts and kind of like a more baby-like sort of like skull structure, suggesting that these wild urban foxes might actually be, in a sort of way, domesticating themselves, which is really interesting to see because it's certainly not intentional.
Right.
And it's certainly not. Well, you know, a lot of people are probably encouraging, in air quotes, foxes by like being nice to them and probably feeding them or, you know, not actively shooting them when they see them. This is certainly not being like incentivized by people, but it seems like the foxes have started to like domesticate themselves in the way that cats did. Because that's what cats did, right? Cats just kind of chose to be around where people were because we kept grains. And our grains would attract mice.
Yeah.
So cats would hang around humans to hunt our mice, and that just worked out well for humans. So we're like, that's fine, you can stay. And then eventually over time, cats kind of like domesticate themselves. So foxes seem like they're doing basically the exact same thing of like, oh, well, when humans are gathered somewhere, that seems to, you know, attract a lot of food that I can eat. So I'm going to hang around here. And then, oh, when I adapt my body in this way, I can live around humans better. So like it seems like the same thing we saw in cats, but now foxes are sort of doing it to themselves.
It's just so funny that the cats just basically foisted themselves upon us.
And we totally were like, absolutely, I'm totally in. I'm so in. We went so far as to like worship them as minor deities, but, and still do to this day.
Our cat doesn't do anything for our grain.
I know. Our grain suffers. Our harvest is meager year after year. Put him to work, man. Get him out there. Let's take a quick break to hear from our friends on the Maximum Fun Network. And when we get back, we will get to ingenuity, aesthetics, and more fun surprises for red foxes.
Excellent.
Hey, I'm Alan McLeod, the host of Walking About, and I'm here with Adam.
Hello.
You know, as a member of the month, you're the member of the month, you'll be getting a $25 gift card to the Maximum Fun store.
Holy moly.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much for supporting this show and the network.
Happy to do it.
What made you decide to become a member?
I just said, these people give me so much entertainment and joy and fun in my life. I gotta support them somehow. The outpouring of love and support that these folks, they made me Maximum Fun Member of the Month, for crying out loud. If you want this stuff to keep going, then support it.
Well, so nice to meet you, Adam.
Thank you very much, everybody. Keep up the good work. I mean it. I'm not just blowing smoke.
Become a Max Fun member now at MaximumFun.org/join.
Good evening. Thanks for tuning in to 101.1 Max Fun. It's midnight here on Host to Coast, and we've got Sarah from Michigan on line 1.
Hi, I'm calling in for some help. I used to love reading, but between grad school, having kids, and the general state of the world, I can't seem to pick up a book and stick with it anymore.
Sarah, this is an easy one. Just listen to Reading Glasses, a podcast designed to help you read better. Bria and Mallory will get all the pressure, shame, and guilt out of your reading life. You'll be finishing books you love in no time.
Great. That sounds amazing. Also, I do think my husband is cheating on me with Mothman. Can you help me with that one?
Ooh, I don't think they cover that. Reading Glasses, every Thursday on Maximum Fun.
And we're back. We don't normally actually leave in between segments, but this time we ran out of time and had to leave.
Yes.
And come back. The next category that we rate animals on is ingenuity, which is behavioral adaptations, things that the animal actually does to navigate their environment, solve problems that they face, things like that. I'm gonna give the red fox a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
And I'm even teetering on 10 out of 10.
This tracks.
It does. And, foxes do have a worldwide reputation for being very clever. You see this in folklore a lot, where foxes are usually associated with, like being wily, being tricksters, being in some way, navigating obstacles using mental problem solving rather than like brute forcing their way through things.
Right.
Now, in different cultures, people will have different sort of interpretations or different like relationships to the fox's intelligence. Particularly in like European folklore, they're seen more antagonistically as like a thief who is always like using trickery and deception. Like in Aesop's fables, you see a lot of foxes doing sort of underhanded, sneaky techniques and stuff.
Yes, or as depicted in Zootopia.
In Zootopia. Oh, don't worry, that's in my notes.
Oh, good.
But that's like definitely building on this reputation of foxes as being like a clever, sneaky, sort of underhanded thief, you know? And that even in Japanese folklore, you see foxes being shapeshifters, right? Like the kitsune spirit.
I'm just now realizing Japan has both foxes and tanukis.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah, there is even a subspecies of the red fox that's like native to Japan.
Huh.
Yeah, it is an interesting sort of like, not really convergent evolution because they are pretty closely related. But yeah, they do have both.
I guess that niche here is filled by the raccoon.
Right, yeah. That is convergent evolution with raccoons. But so, yeah, you see these sort of different interpretations of, but in a lot of other different folklore, so like in a lot of folklore that's indigenous to the Americas, that cleverness doesn't have the same like antagonistic angle. like that European folklore does. Like they're known for being very clever and they're known for being very smart, but not like in a way that is antagonistic to people in the way that it is in other places. But so the point being that like all over the world, foxes are known for being very bright. They're known for being intelligent and being able to solve problems and figure things out pretty well. They're especially known for being able to thwart humans' best efforts to keep them away from their livestock or from their pets. You build a fence and then the fox jumps over it. So then you make it higher and then the fox digs under it. Like they're always finding ways to basically thwart every obstacle that humans try to put in their way. But even watching them hunt in the wild, you can kind of see in real time them making those sort of complex calculations, like the mental calculations they have to do to track their prey. Like first find it, locate it, and then track it, predict its movements, and then like strike based on that. So you can watch them do this, and it's really, really cool. First of all, if you watch a fox hunting, once they've heard something that gets their attention, they do something really, really adorable. Do you know what it is?
No.
It's head tilting.
Oh, like a dog?
Like a dog.
Huh.
Like when you are talking to a dog and your voice goes like this. Or you say one of the words that they like.
Yeah.
Like go for a walk.
Huh.
Or have a treat. Sorry if I messed anyone up. Sorry to all the dogs out there that I just accidentally riled up. But, so imagine the gesture that a dog makes when you're saying something that they're paying attention to. They really like cock their head sort of at a dramatic angle. And then as the sound that they're interested in continues, they go back and forth. They'll do this sort of like left to right, like they'll kind of tilt their head in either direction, back and forth. So foxes do this when they're hunting. And there's an actual application. There's a reason why they're doing this. It's not just to be cute, even though it is very, very cute. So when they tilt their head, the angle of their head is giving their ears an asymmetrical position.
Right.
So it's making one ear higher than the other. And then when they tilt in the other direction, it's doing the same thing, but in the opposite direction. So what this is doing is it's making it so that sound hits each ear at a different time. And their brain can process the difference in the amount of time it takes for sound to hit those two ears and say, oh, this sound is closer to my left ear than it is to my right. Or like, oh, this sound is further up than it is down because it's hitting this ear first.
Right.
So owls have like a built-in version of this where just naturally their ears are positioned asymmetrically. So one of their ears is higher up than the other. But the owls are a little bit more specialized because their actual like inner ear mechanisms are tuned differently. Like they're meant to hear different pitches and different like ranges of sound in each ear. So like if they hear a particular range of sound, it's supposed to like hit one ear differently than the other. And based on which ear it's hitting, they can tell where the sound is. It's something like that. The fox's ears aren't like, to my knowledge, that fine-tuned. It's more just they turn their head so that they have a better idea of where a sound is coming from. So once they've kind of like locked in and found where their prey is, especially when they're hunting in something like snow or really long grass where maybe they know where the prey is, but they don't have like line of sight with it, they will do this thing that's really great where they like really slowly and silently, they get into position, right? They're like sneaking up, they're prowling and stalking through the grass or through the snow or anything. And then when they're ready, they jump straight up into the air and just fire themselves like a missile. Have you seen them do this?
Yes.
It's in documentaries all the time because it is hilarious. It's so funny to watch them do this. And they do it because it helps them basically close the distance without alerting the prey that they're coming. So the prey can't like feel their footsteps or something coming above them. It's like an aerial strike.
Right.
But they just launch themselves into the air like a little missile. And when they do this like in the snow, it's especially funny because they just face plant directly into the snow.
Right.
Like keeping in mind, they don't have eyes on the prey. They're not like 100% sure that they know where it is. So like once they're in the air, Jesus takes the wheel. Like they do not know if they're going to connect with this prey at all. They're fully trusting the process.
Looney Tunes.
It is Looney Tunes behavior. And a lot of times when they face plant into the snow, that leaves their like feet just kind of sticking up and like their tails flopping around and they're like flail, like the back half of their body is just like flailing in the air. It's hilarious. I've also seen videos of them doing this on trampolines for fun, which is great. Like, they're clearly not hunting anything.
Practicing.
They're just jumping for fun, and that's great. Now, when I was doing my notes for this, I was like, man, I really want to find something that, like, isn't commonly talked about when people talk about foxes. You know, people talk about the jumping, they talk about the head tilting. But this is pretty commonly talked about. I wanted to find something that, like, doesn't usually come up when people are talking about foxes. And I found magnets.
Magnets?
There was a 2011 study that was analyzing the hunting pounces of red foxes. And what they showed was a very strong preference for facing northeast when jumping. So the majority of the time when they jump to pounce on prey, they're facing northeast.
Okay.
And when they jump facing northeast, their success rate is way higher than when they're not. Foxes facing northeast had a 72.5% success rate. If they were facing any other direction, it was 18%.
Huh.
So this difference in success rate was especially significant in settings with high coverage, so things like snow or long grass, where they don't have eyes on their prey. So when they cannot see the prey, they were much more successful when they're facing northeast. Why? Why do you think? What do you think could be happening here?
Like a reference point that's not based on vision or sound, because they're probably listening into the prey?
Right. They're doing a lot of listening.
Yeah.
So that's like involved.
I'm guessing there's some sort of component to their anatomy that maybe attracts to magnetic north?
So that's kind of the big mystery.
Okay.
Like the how do they know that they're facing northeast?
Sure.
How are they aligning themselves so consistently with this direction? That's kind of the big mystery of, like, how do they know this?
Okay.
The fact that they consistently lined up with northeast, this was regardless of time of day, regardless of weather, regardless of light, like at nighttime, daytime.
Okay. I was saying, like,
they're not taking light cues. Like, there are no other sort of environmental cues that they're taking.
Busting out a star map.
No, they're not, like, getting out a, what is it, the astrolabe, whatever, like a sundial or something. So it seemed like they were consistently aligning themselves with northeast specifically, regardless of whatever else was going on. They seemed like they knew which way to face every single time. So the researchers suggest that the fox could be using a magnetic heading as a fixed measuring tool. This is where it gets a little difficult to explain without a visual, but in the northern hemisphere, the Earth's geomagnetic field is tilted about 60 degrees down. So, like, if you're looking straight ahead, the Earth's geomagnetic pole has like a 60-degree down angle.
Okay. Does that change based on distance to the pole? Like,
yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, and it also changes based on hemisphere. So in the southern hemisphere,
Right.
it's the other direction. In the northern hemisphere, it points north, but in the southern hemisphere, you'd get the same thing but pointing south. So the researchers say that if a fox can get its prey to line up with that 60-degree northeastern angle, then the fox can judge the prey's distance by its sound, because they can hear the sound and know where the sound source is, using a consistent known angle. So it can then just kind of adjust its position until the prey is in this sort of sweet spot of distance where it's practiced and perfected what's called stereotypical leap. It does the same exact leap, same exact move over and over again. So if it gets its prey in the sweet spot, it knows that leap is going to work.
Interesting.
100%, not 100%, like 72%.
It still has to grab it.
Yeah.
And the thing could also move itself. So.
Yeah, it could be quick. It could, you know.
Yeah.
So the best way I could think of to explain this is imagine that you're playing a video game. Obviously, I'm going for a video game analogy visualization. Imagine that you're playing a video game and you have a ranged attack, a ballistic missile of sorts, right? Like, I've played a good bit of Civ games, like in the Civilization games. Sometimes when you have like a ranged attack, you'll have an aim indicator that shows up on the screen that shows the path your projectile will take and the exact spot where it will land.
Right.
You'll have an aim indicator that says this is exactly where your attack is going to hit. So for the red fox, their aim indicator is provided by a magnetic field, which is stuck in one direction.
Sure.
It only points northeast. So if they can just get their target to line up with that aim indicator, then they can move closer or further away to get the target into that where the aim indicator says your attack will land right here. And then they can just use the same move over and over again. They're not going to have to account for like, if maybe this time I'm pouncing to the left instead of to the right. Like they can basically just practice the same exact move and then adjust their position so that the same move will work every time. So they're kind of using the Earth's magnetic field not for navigation like other animals do, but for targeting. It's like a targeting system that gives them this internal like aim reticle almost.
Right.
You know what I mean? This paper is called Directional Preference May Enhance Hunting Accuracy in Foraging Foxes. That was by Yaroslav Cherveny et al. In the Biology Letters in March of 2011. Now, what's interesting is that if they are using magnetoreception, it is not known how.
What's it called?
Magnetoreception. That's the word for like an animal's ability to detect a magnetic field. Pigeons are kind of a well-known example of this, but a lot of animals use magnetoreception. Sharks use it. Like this happens a lot in the animal kingdom, and there are two main ways that magnetoreception can work in animals, and it's not really known which one the foxes would be using. One of the ways that animals can pick up on magnetic fields is with magnetite. So like organically forming magnetite crystals that are, in the nervous system, like in nerve cells, that the nervous system can pick up on, and it can say, okay, we're facing this way. So this is what is happening in pigeons' brains. It's how they can tell. They use like a GPS, basically. Like it tells them where it's used for navigation. But the other way, and I actually literally just did notes on this for a different podcast that will be up sometime soon, is something called a radical pair mechanism.
Oh, okay. You were telling me about this.
I was telling you about this the other day. How much time do we have? Okay, I'm going to do like a speed run of an explanation of a radical pair mechanism. Now, we don't know if foxes are using magnetoreception. And if they are, we don't know if they're using radical pair mechanisms. I just find this fascinating. This is just a topic I find very, very interesting. In animals that do use radical pair mechanisms like snapping turtles, which was the thing I was preparing these notes for a different podcast. There's a type of protein usually in like visual cells, like nerve cells in like the visual system. It's called cryptochrome. And when this type of protein is exposed to blue light, it forms something called radical pairs. Radical pairs happen when electrons are transferred from one molecule to another in such a way that those electrons don't have a free electron to pair with. Electrons should always be paired with a buddy in their molecule, but when you split them up like that and they don't have a buddy to pair with, they stay entangled. They're in a state of quantum entanglement. Do you know about quantum entanglement?
No, not enough.
Are you being serious?
Not enough to speak to.
Well,
sure.
I mean, I don't understand it like at a super complicated level, but are you aware of the concept?
I mean, in science fiction, at least.
Oh, it's a big thing in science fiction. Science fiction loves quantum entanglement.
Quantum entanglement meaning two things that are quantumly entangled will phase through cycles together, regardless of distance between them.
Yeah. 100%. That's exactly what you need to know for this. Where they're coupled together in such a way where a change in one corresponds to a change in the other, regardless of how far apart they are. So yes, exactly what you said. They cycle through states together. That's the important thing here. These entangled electrons, they can spin either in the same direction or in opposite directions. And those different spin states have different like energetic states of excitement, basically. Like they put out more or less energy based on whether they're spinning together or opposite of each other, but they cycle together. So they oscillate between these states. It's called a singlet state and a triplet state. So they're oscillating back and forth, these radical pairs of electrons. So when a magnetic field is in play, is acting on these radical pairs, the magnetic field is basically nudging those electrons in a particular direction, whether influencing them to spin together or spin opposite. And this increases the rate of one of those two states happening. So if you were to look at a wave of those energetic states of those electrons, a magnetic field would make that wave maybe longer or like more intense. Like it would change the frequency and the intensity of those oscillations of state. So the animal's brain is somehow able to pick up on those changes in oscillation of those radical pairs and say, okay, now these oscillations are stronger, so I know I'm facing this way. That mechanism is not understood. Like, that mechanism is just like, we know that this is kind of happening. We don't know how this is being picked up. Like, a lot of mysteries here. But as soon as I see that something is quantum entangled, I'm so in. I'm like, please tell me more about this.
My introduction to this concept was actually through Mass Effect.
Yes, you've told me about this, and I think about this anytime I am reading about entanglement.
Yeah, so the way they did it in Mass Effect was they use it for communications across vast distances, like across space.
And I was reading something about how like people tend to misinterpret quantum entanglement as like implying faster than light speed travel, which it cannot do. I don't understand quantum mechanics enough.
The idea in the game, at least, and again, I don't know if this is real.
This is sci-fi stuff.
But they were using it as a binary to represent bits of data.
Yeah.
Right. So think of a particle that has two states. It could be a 0 or a 1.
Yeah.
That's it. So I think the idea was if you nudged your particle from a 0 to a 1, the other particle would also change.
Right.
Like instantaneously.
Yeah. So I think that's the idea behind like the radical pair mechanism, that the animal's brain is able to pick up on like how frequently is it a 1 and how frequently is it a 0. And like a magnetic field will make it respond differently. Like we'll make it a 0 more often than it's a 1 or a 1 more often than it's a 0. And the animal's brain is somehow able to like understand that and act on it. So if foxes are using magnetoreception, which it seemed from the paper, like they kind of ruled out any other way they could be sensing direction and consistently orienting themselves with northeast. So if they are using magnetoreception, that might be how they're doing it. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Got a little bit more into the sort of weeds. Oh, and by the way, I read all of that sort of explanation of how the radical pair mechanism works in a paper called The Radical Pair Mechanism of Magnetoreception that was by P.J. Hoare et al. In the Annual Review of Biophysics in July of 2016. There's also a really good YouTube video out there of PJ Hoare explaining this. He does a really good job of it. So if anyone's interested in stuff like that, I recommend checking out the YouTube video where he explains it. If they are using magnetoreception, that would be super fascinating because they would be the only known predator using magnetoreception as a targeting system. Most animals that use magnetoreception use it for like navigation. This would be like using it aggressively, which would be very unusual. We don't know of anything else that does that.
And it's not like it has non-functioning other senses that it could use. So.
Well, that was something they mentioned in the paper, is that this seems to have the biggest impact when they can't rely on other senses, like when they're hunting in the deep snow and they can't see their prey, right? It's like relying on their sense of hearing as it lines up with the magnetic field. So in situations where they can see their prey, they don't need to do this at all. This doesn't matter. Like this seems to have the biggest impact when they can't rely on their other senses. I found that fascinating. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was cool. And the final category that we rate animals on is aesthetics. It's just how nice this animal is to look. This is an easy 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It clears. It's good. Come on. I don't know what else to say. They're good.
Typically, when we talk about aesthetics, we're talking about visual, sometimes audio.
Now,
I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Foxes, as I understand it, notoriously do not smell nice.
The smell? Yeah, the smell is, they don't smell good.
Yeah. So this doesn't alter your aesthetics at all?
It's not my problem.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't smell them through a picture. I'm fine. I thought you were going to talk about their terrifying screams of the damned.
There is that too, yeah.
Yeah, anyone who's ever heard a fox, like particularly like at night, if they're just like calling out either to each other or for whatever reason, it is haunting. The sounds that a fox makes are just like gut-wrenching.
I feel like that song has misled me.
That's always been my issue. That's always been my issue with the song. In the song, what does the fox say? They act like nobody knows you could go on Wikipedia. There are audio files. Everyone knows. This is not a mystery.
It's like, maybe we'll never know.
I could understand if it was an animal like, I don't know, giraffes or something, where like it wasn't known until super recently whether they made any sounds at all. Mm-hmm. But like, we got this one. Like, we know this one. This one's documented.
Yeah. I have to assume that was just more culturally relevant to a culture I'm not very familiar with.
No, that's not my problem, though. So It's not impacting my score at all because I don't have to be around them. Now, this is where I usually talk about conservation. Particularly in European culture, humans have had a very antagonistic relationship with red foxes because they are intelligent and agile and are really well known for sneaking into coops to steal chickens or sneaking onto farms to steal baby lambs or just to eat the baby lambs. They might not carry it away, right? So farmers can really see them as pests, which is very well reflected in folklore. Foxes also have very desirable fur, right? It is soft and it is warm and it looks really nice.
Yeah.
So fox hunting became a very popular sport across Europe. Eventually, this also became fox farming. But fox hunting was like a huge deal, especially in like Renaissance era Europe. Like, that was all people wanted to do. Fox hunting was like football, basically, at the time. Like, you'd go out and, you know, in your finery.
You want to know what comes to mind first when I hear fox hunting?
What?
It's that episode of Futurama with...
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Not the Fox and the Hound?
No.
Okay.
No. It's at least a 20-to-1 ratio on how many times I've watched one over the other.
Now, we are Futurama sleepers, though.
Yes. But regardless, I think of that episode also because Patrick Stewart voices the main fox hunt guy.
You do love that.
I do.
Are they hunting actual foxes? Or is it some sort of...
It turns out to be a robot.
I was going to say it was a sci-fi alien.
And then, spoiler...
Foxes.
Patrick Stewart's character turns out to be a robot, too.
Oh, very good. Excellent.
It was a back and forth between a save this living animal, and then when they find out it's a robot, it's like, oh, we don't care anymore. But then Bender starts caring when he does.
Right, it's a robot now. Yeah.
So anyway.
I see. Well, yeah, fox hunting was very, very popular sport in Europe. And in fact, fox hunting was so popular that when Europeans went a-colonizing, they didn't want to leave behind their favorite
I knew it.
game. Like, it's their favorite thing to do. It's their hobby.
Like it's a box of Monopoly or something.
Yeah. They're like, we got to bring this. What if we get bored? So when they set off for places like North America and Australia, they brought their foxes with them.
Okay.
As in, like, packed them up and went off to their colony and then set them loose so that they could hunt them, so that they would have something to hunt for fun there.
So this was not necessarily a fur farm got loose type thing.
They did also want to hunt them for fur.
Okay.
Like, fur was like involved, but it seemed like a lot of it was like they wanted something to hunt for fun, which we see a lot of.
Sure.
They did a lot of this. Just like releasing like bunnies and hedgehogs into places because they were like, we want our favorite little guys.
Yeah. Wait, are they hunting hedgehogs?
No, hedgehogs were just
okay.
to have in your little garden. That's
kind of the most boring. Like...
Can you imagine?
All right, I caught him.
I got it. It was really easy.
I gave him 30 minutes. He only got 2 feet.
That's the speedrunning community of game hunting. Now, here's a little side note here. People for a long time have believed that red foxes in North America were introduced by Europeans, and they've been described as an invasive species in North America. But genetic analysis of American red foxes showed that they've been genetically distinct and separate from European red foxes for at least 300,000 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So like they took genetic samples and like did genetic like ancestry.com testing of foxes from all across North America.
Yeah.
And they had no haplotypes in common with European red foxes.
Interesting.
We're not related at all to European red foxes.
But still the same species.
Still the same species, but we're distinct enough to be in the American subspecies. I think there were some exceptions. I think like far on like the West Coast, especially on the southern end of the West Coast, and like California, but even they seem to be mixed with American red foxes, which kind of means that was just natural range expansion for red foxes that were already native to North America.
Right.
Like they were already here, which lines up with things like the fact that like tribes all across North America have red foxes in their creation stories.
Okay.
Like there's like a known presence of red foxes in like indigenous folklore, and like they go way back. So Europeans did release red foxes here, but the ones they released failed to establish.
Well, could you imagine? They probably brought them with them because like, well, we got to have something to do. And they come here and like, they're already here.
Yeah, they're noobs on a server that are getting bodied.
I dragged these things for no reason. And then just like, I don't want to mess with them anymore and just let them go.
Well, I mean, if you're a European, you might not be able to tell. Like, are
That's
these the
true.
same ones we brought over, or were these ones that were already here? I don't know. I brought some foxes here. Now I see a fox. Must be the one I brought.
There's like 10 times the amount we brought, but I don't know.
I'm not going to investigate that any further. So yeah, there has even been some debate that American red foxes maybe should be considered their own species. There are some noticeable like physiological differences between them. So like a shorter muzzle and they have larger paws. It wouldn't really only be relevant when you're talking about conservation action and like what should be protected and what shouldn't, right? Because if they're considered their own species, then they would be considered a native species, and then they would probably qualify for more protections than if we're considering them a non-native or introduced or even invasive species. But so this evidence seems to suggest that they're not introduced and they're not invasive, that they're from here.
It is odd that, I guess, populations that have been separate from each other for hundreds of thousands of years, especially for a mammal, we would still consider the same species.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the grand scheme of things, I mean, you know, you've got things like alligators that have been the same for millions of years, you know, like.
But we have the American alligator.
Yeah.
And the caiman.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think they're just not different enough. Like you could get a hybrid of them, right? And it would be fine. Like you could breed them together, which is one way that like you can define a species. But I think that gets more into the weeds of like, what do you consider, like, where's the line? Like, what do you consider a species and what do you not? Which is too much. Now, the paper that was on like American red fox genetics is called The Origin of Recently Established Red Fox Populations in the United States, Translocations or Natural Range Expansions. That was by Mark J. Statham et al. In the Journal of Mammalogy in 2012. So all that is to say, on the flip side, on sort of the reverse of that, in Australia, different story completely. There were no native foxes. Foxes were introduced by Europeans, and they are a hugely invasive species. So you can see their rising populations line up pretty closely with declining populations and even extinctions of a lot of native Australian species, particularly things that live on the ground. You see these with things like the quokka, which now used to be found through a pretty wide range on the mainland, and now is only found in like sort of islands, and they're really not found on the mainland. They've been kind of pushed out. So you see an increase in foxes and a decrease in a lot of native Australian species. According to Agriculture Victoria, red foxes do over $227 million a year in damages.
Wow.
And they are a likely contributor to many extinctions since their introduction to Australia. So since red foxes are the largest and kind of the most like specialized carnivores of the fox genus, in places where they overlap with other fox species, they can outcompete them. Like they can kind of force other species of foxes out and actually limit their range. So this seems to be happening with Arctic foxes. So like in places in the Arctic regions where red foxes overlap with Arctic foxes are like up against a wall. Like they can't expand any further. And it's actually making it hard to like rebuild Arctic fox populations because they can't compete with red foxes. Red foxes are just so much bigger than them. So they can actually kind of be, for them, They're doing awesome.
Sure.
They're doing great. For Arctic foxes, they're kind of working against them. There's no loyalty among thieves, I suppose.
I wonder how much in North America, back here again, I'm wondering how much competition there is between the red fox and coyotes.
I think that they maintain separate enough spaces. I think there's enough space for both of them that they leave each other alone, and they don't seem to really have much of an effect on each other. And I think they're also going for different prey.
Makes sense.
Because I think that red foxes are particularly usually going for things like mice and squirrels and, you know, things that are on the ground. I don't know, things like that. Whereas coyotes might be, because they're pack hunters, right? They can go for bigger prey that they can overwhelm and take down. Or they'll scavenge.
That makes sense, because like their population exploded once the wolves got pretty decimated here.
But being pack hunters and being much larger than a fox, they could be, you know, focusing on different types of prey. So they wouldn't necessarily outcompete each other. There's also just a lot of space here. So there's room for them all. And just to, you know, we always like to talk about pop culture and animals' appearance in pop culture. There's no shortage of fox appearances in pop culture. Thank you, furries. Thank you for your service in the fox representation. Starting, of course, with Robin Hood. Well, not starting, but like, I feel like anthropomorphic fox depictions really take off with Robin Hood in 1973. You seen that movie?
It's been a long time, but yeah.
I used to watch it as a kid, yeah. I don't know why they made him a fox.
That predates Fox and the Hound?
Yes, it does. Fox and the Hound came out in 1981.
Okay.
I did notes on this. So the Fox and the Hound, I watched a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
I loved the Fox and the Hound. I watched it all the time.
It was so sad, though.
It was so sad. But I also watched The Land Before Time all the time.
Yeah.
So I have just always been this way.
Sad on purpose.
I love crying. It's the best. That's Pisces behavior. We've also got Miles Tails Per Hour from Sonic the Hedgehog series. He's a little foxy guy. That was from 1991. He was introduced in 1991, which I was a fully grown adult before I realized that his name is a pun. Miles Per Hour.
Yeah.
I knew that was his name, but like I learned his name when I was so young that the joke didn't connect. Like I didn't figure out that it was a joke, and I like that just I never thought twice about it until I was an adult, and I was like, oh, it's a pun. In Pokemon, there's a lot of fox Pokemon.
Oh, yeah?
Particularly Vulpix and Ninetales, which really plays on the kitsune imagery, being a nine-tailed fox. So many times while I was like doing research and notes for this, I was typing and I would type in Vulpix and have to backspace and change it to Vulpus, which is the actual like scientific name. I did that like 30 times. It just had like muscle memory to type Vulpix instead.
Yeah. The nine-tailed fox thing is also popular in Naruto.
Yep. Naruto, which comes out in 1999.
Yes.
So you get another nine-tailed fox. Also, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but the kitsune also is a major aesthetic sort of theme for the character Kiriko in Overwatch.
Oh,
She's introduced in 2022. Rip. That was after I had really fallen off of playing the game. But
yeah, it was right when some stuff started happening there.
Yeah. Well, that was right when Overwatch 2 came out.
I think so,
So I really had checked out basically by then. But then also, like you mentioned, Zootopia in 2016. We're so back. Anthropomorphic foxes are back. And now we've got a new one coming out soon, right? There's a Zootopia 2.
It is, I think. Either this year or next year. I don't remember. But yeah.
That was a fun movie. Mm-hmm. Jason Bateman plays like the perfect, oh man, what a perfect casting. Jason Bateman as a snarky little fox guy.
Yeah.
Great. And so I wanted to wrap up. The last thing I wanted to share with you is a mystery.
Oh.
A mystery to leave you with, to keep the wheels turning, to leave you on a sort of a little brain teaser. This is a Facebook post from Grand Teton National Park, like from the official account for the park. A few weeks ago, we started getting reports of a fox stealing shoes from campers. This was posted, by the way, like this month, like a couple weeks ago. After 19 shoes went missing, We made signs asking folks to store their footwear in tents, vehicles, or bear boxes. Now the fox's stash is up to 32 shoe emoji.
Oh.
Shoe emoji, fox emoji. What does the fox do with the shoes? We still don't know.
Oh, they haven't found the stash?
No, they have not apprehended the suspect. We still don't know. Maybe it's a toy. Maybe it's nesting material collection. Maybe it's sparkle emoji, fashion sparkle emoji. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear. The more time this fox spends around humans, the more dangerous things get for the fox. Even unintentional behavior like leaving shoes out just in case he visits teaches wildlife that people equals opportunity, and that can lead to relocation or worse.
Right.
Shoe emoji. Store your shoes, food, and scented items appropriately. Hashtag leave no shoes behind. Don't bait wildlife with belongings. Let wildlife be wildlife, not campground mascots. Scare, don't stare. If a fox shows up, make noise and encourage it to move along. Wild animals need to stay wild.
I hope they're analyzing what kinds of shoes it's going for.
Oh, you think it has a sort of preference? You think they're going to leave behind the knockoffs?
They're going for the Jordans.
Yeah. But like only the name brand, like you think they're not taking like your Payless clearance rack. Maybe they're reselling.
My Timbs, no.
No, my Tim. Maybe they got a resale operation that they're running out of the park or something. They've put up a wanted sign with a sketch of the fox titled "Wanted for Grand Theft Footwear." And next to it, they also have a sign that says "Days since last fox shoe incident" with a running tally of stolen shoes.
Now I'm wondering why they think it's a fox. I wonder if has it been caught red-handed or
red pawed?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine so. Like they've probably seen a fox doing it, and like they just weren't fast enough to grab their shoe back, I guess, because these things are quick. Like I mentioned earlier, they're fast.
Well, I've been playing a lot of Phoenix Wright lately, and I think...
Where's the burden of proof here?
I think someone is trying to frame the fox.
Your Honor, my client is a victim of hearsay. Circumstantial proof at best.
Objection.
You go stand up for that fox. You can be his attorney. So I thought that was great. Just a fun little treat to chew on. What could that fox be doing with those shoes?
I bet there's just a hole in the ground somewhere with a bunch of shoes.
That's going to be fun for archaeologists to find in 500 years.
Yeah.
They're like, what sort of ritual was this? They all put their shoes in this big hole. They could just be playing with them.
Could be.
Sometimes animals do stuff like that. Our cat is a real freak for feet. So I don't know. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's the smell of feet that animals just love.
They are stinky little guys.
They love it. I don't know. Maybe it's something. Well, that's Red Foxes.
Thanks, babe.
A particularly long episode, I know, but I was having fun with it, as you can tell. So yeah, thank you for listening. Thanks for spending this time with us. If you enjoyed what you heard, I hope you leave behind some nice words for us in a review on your podcast app of choice. If you want to come hang out with us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Blue Sky, stuff like that. Links to everything will be in the episode description. You can also send me an email at ellen@justthezooofus.com if you have an animal you'd like to hear us talk about on the show. We would like to thank Maximum Fun for having us on their network alongside their other amazing shows like the ones that you heard promos for during this episode. If you want to learn more about the network and how you can be a part of supporting our show and get access to our exclusive monthly bonus episode, head over to MaximumFun.org. And finally, we'd like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music.
Thank you so much.
And thank you. And remember, keep your shoes in your tent.
Thanks, y'all.
See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Maximum Fun a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.